Just waiting for it to come up. There we go. Welcome to the Monday, March 25th Select Board meeting. In person, we have Erin Underhill, and on Zoom, we have Ellen Rosenfeld. So she's out of town, but thank you for attending the meeting. We also have Mike and Karen with us today, and loads of people in the audience. So,
Pretty friendly audience.
yeah.
I think, Craig, I just want to remind you, I think you have to do all of roll call votes. Because
Oh, that's right.
Just in case anyone should question it.
Yes.
I'm sorry, being a
Yes.
rule follower.
That's going to add time. Okay.
I apologize. Speak quickly.
All right, so I'm going to start with announcements. The first announcement we have is Millis Beautification Day is coming up, Saturday, April 27th, 9 a.m. to noon, rain or shine. So please show up and volunteer, help out. Everybody needs a waiver, and we'll meet at Town Hall the day of. So please, Saturday, April 27th, 9 a.m. to noon, rain or shine, Millis Beautification Day. Next announcement's not nearly as fun as Millis Beautification Day, but it's town meeting. May 7th, 7:30 p.m. That's a Tuesday night this year. We had to move it because we needed legal representation there and there were some conflicts, so it's moved to Tuesday night, 5/7. Next one is town elections are 5/13. And those run, what is that? Is that 7 to 8, or what's the time, Lisa, on the elections?
7 a.m. to 8 p.m.
7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So those will be the townwide elections.
And I believe, Lisa, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Craig, that the only spot that we don't have someone running for currently is Board of Health.
That's correct.
But the time has closed, so we are looking for a write-in campaign for Board of Health.
Just theoretically, what happens if nobody gets written in? Does the select board appoint, or how do we fill that position?
I believe it would be the select
Okay.
board meeting with the remaining members of the Board of
Okay.
Health to fill the vacancy.
Okay, thank you. I have one more announcement that is, we are now accepting nominations for the Lansing Millis Legacy Award. This is an award that's presented to someone over 60 years old. You could nominate me. No, somebody over 60 who has worked in Millis and contributed to Millis in some way. It's an award that is put on, presented by the select board. Nominations go to the Council on Aging, and I believe that's before April 5th. I'm just reading the flyer that was sent out.
Information for both that and the Millis Beautification are on the homepage of the website, if anyone would like to look.
Great. All right. Next up, we have, any other announcements? Erin, do you have anything?
Nope.
Ellen, do you have any announcements? No. Okay. Next up, we have the approval and signed letter of commitment to meet climate leader community requirements. That would be Bob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think Ms. Rosenfeld was going to make an introduction.
Oh, I can do that. Can you hear me okay, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the meetings that, the focus of the Energy Committee meetings the last couple of months, actually, is trying to get this, this climate action plan and a municipal decarbonization roadmap. Two pieces of a puzzle that gets us to net zero in 50 years. And they've been working diligently, and part of it is to try to find a consultant. They have some grant money, and they want to find a consultant to help them with both of these plans. Well, they developed an RFI that's very, very good, and they were ready to send it out and finalize it with the board. And then the state, on its own, the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, decided that they would help with one piece of this puzzle, that they would help with the municipal decarbonization plan. So that's a great thing. So now Millis has to apply more or less for it, although it seems like the towns are all going to get it, but there's still a deadline, and there's still some information that they need, which I'm sure Bob's already put together, but part of it is to get a letter from, the board authorizing Millis to apply for it.
Correct.
All right.
Just, thank you, Ms. Roosevelt. And as you know, we've been a member of, we've been a green community since 2015. We've received just short of $1 million in grants for energy efficiency improvements to our buildings and our facilities. And now the Department of Energy Resources is moving from a Green Communities program that focused on reducing reducing emissions through energy efficiency to the Climate Leaders Program, the Green Communities 2.0. And the Climate Leaders Program, that goal is to help municipalities align with the state's net zero emissions goals, as Ms. Rosenfeld said, by the year 2050. So we need a plan to do that, and that's a little bit beyond the capacity of the staff. So the state has realized that this is true for most municipalities and is going to provide technical assistance to us, but we need to ask them for that. In this letter, we're going to tell them that we are committed to the net zero energy goal by 2050, because last spring town meeting, we passed such a policy. So we are asking tonight for the committee, for the board to grant the authority for the chair to sign.
All right. So do we have the letter here tonight, or is it?
We do.
Perfect, because I don't know when I can make it in when we're open again.
Ellen, do you want me to make the motion?
I do.
Okay. I move that the board vote to approve and authorize the chair to sign a letter of commitment to meet the Climate Leader community requirement and to send it to the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources.
Second?
Second?
All right, been moved and seconded, and I've already signed it, so I'm going to poll the board. Aaron?
Aye.
Ellen?
Yes.
And I'm a yes also. All right, so it passes, good, I don't have to take it back and tear it up, so that's done. All right, next we have.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, moving right along here. I figure that's the best thank you in the world. I'm looking at the agenda and it says 7:05, even though it's the third item. Do we get in trouble if we move the orders around at all?
No.
Okay, perfect.
No hearings.
Then the next item up is discuss and vote the FY25 budget recommendations. I've spoken to Mr. Gadzinski and Carol about the budget for the year, and they have a proposal for us. So with that, I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, the finance director and I have been working on this budget for, well, starting back in December, but we've been really looking at the composite budget the last 3 or 4 weeks, looking at our revenue figures as well as the budget requests. And within your packet this evening are 3 documents related to my budget proposal for fiscal year 2025. The budget proposal contemplates limiting the overall budget increases in municipal and school budgets to 4.42%. This budget level is in line with the school department's non-override FY25 budget request. In reviewing the revenues with the finance director, we've determined that our revenues will support this level of increase in the operational budgets. And just going through the documents, the first document is our HCA, and we've outlined the recommended items to be funded through the host community agreement. These items would be funded in 2 phases, as we've done in the past 3 or 4 years. The first phase, which would be at the spring annual town meeting, would allocate $189,780.30 to items listed. The second phase would fund $137,503.38 to the remainder items at the fall annual town meeting. And there is sufficient funding within the HCA account to fund these expenditures. Or there will be in the fall, in time for the fall appropriations. The second document is entitled FY 2025 Budget Request Above Level Service, which outlines the budget items within the 4.42% budget increase, which are considered to be above the current levels of operational services and staff. The Animal Control Department, which we share with the town of Medway, does have an adjustment to assist the animal control officer cover certain hours during the week to handle the increased workload. In the Recreation Department, has an increase which is being funded through an increase in the fee receipts within the department. Both of these departments have clearly demonstrated the need to elevate their service levels to the public. The total cost of these items is $100,669.04. I have discussed these items with the board previously. The third document is entitled the FY 25 budget document. Select Board is the general operating budget. It contains the budget request of all departments as well as my recommendations. As you'll see in the document, I did recommend a few reductions in several departments in order to bring that number down to the 4.42% increase cap of the municipal departments. And I have met with all the department heads affected by those adjustments. In addition to the FY 25 budget documents presented in the packet, there are funding requests from the school department, police department, fire department, and the Department of Public Works, whose funding would require the successful passage of a Prop 2.5 override, unanticipated increase in special education costs at the school department over the last several years, as well as the historically unmet needs in the aforementioned municipal departments have made it extremely difficult for them to properly serve the public within the confines of Proposition 2.5. Therefore, as part of my budget recommendation, I am recommending the board consider additional funding through the passage of a Proposition 2.5 override. The purpose of the override would be to provide additional funds to the school department in the amount of $1,070,767. Police Department, $180,000 for 2 additional police officers. The Fire Department, $95,118 for a fire captain. And the Department of Public Works, $54,115 for a department laborer, for a total of $1.4 million. I do not make these recommendations lightly. The town's administration highly values fiscal restraint and balance in our budgetary approach, but at this time I strongly believe that these budgetary increases are desperately needed to effectively and properly serve this rapidly growing community. I'm sure over the next several weeks there'll be much more information coming forth to the public about the background surrounding these matters. And I'd be certainly happy to answer any questions you might have this evening. Again, all the information's in your packet. Finance director's here as well if you have any questions for her. So I just want to take an opportunity to thank the finance director for all her work in assisting with this process, and all the departments for the time and effort they've gone through in putting together their budgets and working with us to present a balanced budget.
Thank you. Yeah, I have had a chance to look this over, and there were, it is the budget we expected. It's the budget that the rec department is going to be fully funded. They'll have enough money coming in. Health insurance went up 5.6%. We'd been estimating, it looks like the benefits went up 5.6. We'd been estimating 6. So that was fortuitous. You know, that's our biggest increase usually, totally beyond our control. Does anybody have any questions, Ellen or Aaron?
Was there any significant cuts that needed to be made to departments?
Most of the adjustments, there was slight reduction in some of the expenses in the fire, police, DPW. Trying to think of, what am I missing, Carol?
They weren't significant.
Yeah,
Okay.
they weren't that significant. Some of that had to do with consolidating some of the
Right.
town building maintenance as well.
Okay.
So that was part of those adjustments.
Perfect.
But I think the big story on the municipal side would be the consideration of possible
Yeah.
increases to those three departments. The DPW, police, and fire.
Okay. All right, so this is the budget that we will send to the Finance Committee and Town Meeting. I will attend 2 weeks from now, the Finance Committee meeting. Nothing this week, so I'll be at the next one. Anybody else from the board like to attend, let Karen know so that we can get a meeting scheduled, since there'll be at least 2 of us there that would
Yes,
go.
Can we actually plan to post for a pre-town meeting? Do you automatically do that?
I can.
Yeah, post for pre-town meeting for sure. Yeah, just so we all show up, if we all show
That's
up.
the Wednesday immediately prior, I think, to the town meeting.
Yeah.
Is usually when it is.
May 1st, I think, right?
Yes.
Do you know, are either of you planning on attending next week? Ellen, are you, or Erin?
I'm not.
You are not. Ellen, are you planning on going to FinCom next week?
A week from Wednesday.
You
Okay,
are not.
Okay.
then I'll
Okay, so I
attend.
will only
Okay.
post for the
Great, great.
pre-town meeting and let
Okay,
me know if
perfect.
anything changes. Thank you.
All right, the other lines, when I was looking it over, I saw that there weren't any dramatic decreases in the salary lines. It was mostly expenses, Mike said. And the expense lines, we do a very good job managing that typically. So that's where any of the smaller cuts were. All right. No further questions about the budget side. I'll move on to the
Need to
discussion.
vote?
Yeah, we
Sorry.
have
Oh.
a
I
motion.
did put a
Oh.
item in the request that the board vote to support the recommended budget.
Okay. I move that the board vote to support and recommend to the annual town meeting the fiscal year 2025 budget as submitted and recommended by the town administrator and as described in the agenda packet.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aaron?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
I'm also a yes, so that gives us unanimous. All right, next up is the override discussion. I thought this merited a little separate conversation, since it's $1.4 million. That, as Mr. Kaczynski said, that funds the sped increases that we've been talking about for the last 3 years now, I guess. 1,070,000. We've been estimating anywhere between 950 and 1.1 million, so that fell right into that range. Police would be 2 positions. The chief had originally asked for 3, but we're going to fund 2 of them this year and see how things continue. We can add another one in the future if it's needed. But 2 patrol officers, I believe, is what we're looking at right there. $95,000 for the fire captain, and that will allow our department to actually do the inspections that are needed on time when they're needed, and also provide additional coverage and succession planning and all of those things that are critical for the department to continue functioning. And 1 DPW laborer. The laborer will address the backlog of work that needs to be done, and it will also allow us to fix our ratios on the enterprise funds, further fix our ratios on the enterprise funds. With more staff working as a general laborer, we'll need to rely less on transferring our water and sewer staff over to do the work in the general DPW department. So that total is $1.4 million. That works out for a $571,000 house valuation, not your sales price, not what you think you can get for it in the market, but what's valued at on your tax roll. That works out to $400, $399 and change, so let's call it $400, it's easy to say. $400 per average household. In my opinion, the $1,070,000 of it that is the schools, we've been talking about that for years, that's not a surprise. The additional works out to an additional $3,030,000 and $330,000, I'm sorry. we're not used to dealing with small numbers. But that is items that we've talked about. We've talked about the police for many, many, many years, and this is just a chance to get things squared away. Overrides are the only way that a town our size, or any town really, can add positions and balance the budget when it's facing things like the increases on the school that are mandated by the state, the costs that just have to be paid. Many, many towns are facing overrides this year. It's a big item. It's been 18 years since we did the last general override. We did one public safety about 12 years ago. I think it was 12 years ago. And that was for 2 firefighters. So the last override of any magnitude was 18 years ago, which is pretty good. I mean, most towns do them about every 5 years, so we're pretty pleased with that. So this will be recommended. The mechanics of it is quite simple. We'll vote the budget that was presented. That will be the budget at town meeting that, if the override fails, will be used. It will not have the additional police, the additional fire, the DPW, and it will require significant reductions in the staff at the schools. It could be between 15 and 20 staff reductions. Mark's getting a final number together. He'll have a number together well prior to, the school committee will have a number prior to town meeting where they'll be able to lay out exactly how many teachers, how many classroom aides, and how many administrators are affected. We will not be releasing names, we'll not be releasing grades, but we'll be able to talk about teachers, administrators, classroom aides, and other positions. They do have to notify teachers that they may not be rehired in anticipation of this, so it's a list that will be known. The second vote at town meeting will be for the override. The override will, if it passes at town meeting, we'll also vote it at the polls. Simple majority at both. Simple majority vote at town meeting and at the ballot. If that passes, then that override question will be added, the amounts will be added back into the base budget, and that will allow us not to have to make reductions at the school and add the positions on the town. Does anybody else have any comments or questions about the override? We'll be talking about this pretty much every meeting until town meeting, and then we'll talk about it a lot. Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I am requesting,
Hold on, just one second, just to be clear, Craig, because I don't know anything either. And that new number, if the override passes, becomes the new number moving forward. It doesn't go away and then, you know what I mean?
No, this number, you're correct. This number would stay as the base number in perpetuity. So next year, assuming that we follow our normal model, we'll take this year's budget plus the override, increase it by 3 or 4%, and that's the 2026 starting point for the budgets.
so, Mr. Chairman, as part of the process, the ballot questions for Proposition 2.5 overrides have to be approved and forwarded to the town clerk at least 35 days before the date of the election. So I am recommending to the board that you vote to approve one of the 3 options I presented in your packet for the question to be sent to the town clerk for inclusion in the annual ballot of the annual town election of May 13th.
What page is that? 22. I have lost that page. Bear with me for just a moment. Okay. All right.
And I do recommend option 1.
You want this, Craig?
Yeah, I'll take that.
I do recommend option 1, but the
Sorry,
board,
wrong one.
the board may,
I'm awake.
the board may choose any one of the 3 options. They're all 3 are legal questions to place before the voters.
I like option 1 as well.
Yes, I'd go with option 1 as well. Ellen, did you have a chance to look these over?
I did. I
Yeah.
like option 1, but should we tell people what, if they all are?
Yeah, I'll do my very best to read option 1. Option 1, shall the town of Millis be allowed to assess an additional $1,400,000 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purpose of providing for the general administrative cost of operating the school, police department, fire department, and Department of Public Works for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024? Option 2, shall the town of Millis be allowed to assess an additional $1,400,000 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purpose of funding the operational budget of public school and municipal government for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2024? Option 3, shall the town of Millis be allowed to assess an additional $1,400,000 in real estate and personal property taxes for the purpose of funding the following department expenses: School Department, $1,070,767, Police Department, $180,000, Fire Department, $95,118, and Department of Public Works, $54,115 for the fiscal year beginning July 21st. Subtle differences there, but important ones.
First, 2024.
24, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes, significant difference there, but it is 24. And Mike, why don't you tell us about number 1, why you
So number
prefer
one,
that?
and I did speak with town council about this as well, but option 1, I think, is the most common, cleanest.
Yeah.
They all result in essentially the same thing. It's just the way at which it's presented to the public in the question. So there really is no difference as far as the end result, the legal ramifications of the question. It's simply seen as the most common way to present an override. Some towns get even more specific sometimes, but in speaking with council, we discussed it, and we don't think there's a need to deviate from option number 1, which again is the most common.
That's been typical of what we've
Yes.
done in all the other ones too. Joyce, did you want to make a comment?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
You can come up.
I have a question. So the third one is very specific, right? It earmarks each number. So if you don't have it as specific as that, and you just go with the lump sum, do you get to mess with the numbers if it passes?
You don't, Mr. Chairman?
Please.
You don't get to mess with the 1.4 million, and basically, town meeting will set the amounts of how it will be spent. So town meeting, even,
Okay.
the important point here is even if this is approved at the ballot, if town meeting doesn't approve the appropriation of the funds, even though the levy limit has been changed, there won't be any additional funds provided in that fiscal year, because town meeting has to
Okay.
provide the
So regardless,
appropriation.
the town meeting, it is gonna be broken out.
Right.
Yes.
Right, and that's how it's done each year in the budget. So when the budget's presented each subsequent year, let's say that needs shift, there's grants that come in, this 1.4 million, like any of our other money, could move slightly. I mean, I wouldn't anticipate in the next several years any change on it, but this 1.4 million, by not specifying, even if you do specify it, it can be moved around by town meeting when the budget's voted, because town meeting sets the budget. This just authorizes the borrowing.
Okay, then I like the simpler one,
Yeah.
the first one.
That she actually, in a roundabout way, got the answer that I was, that the fact that it is going to be in the article so that everybody knows the amounts.
Yeah.
And it's just straightforward. The first one's more straightforward and smooth.
Yeah.
But they will be ample information about where.
Town meeting will have the specifics of exactly where those funds would be spent if
Okay.
the question is approved by the voters at the annual election.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure about that, only because you don't want to say and not have them know why.
Right,
Of course.
Thank you.
right. And it'll be spelled out in line item detail at town meeting. It'll be, I imagine, we haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure when it's produced, it'll be a sub-separate budget showing those lines, what they were, what they are, what they were, what they are.
Article
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
does outline those,
Yeah.
so you'll be able to see, when the public looks at the warrant, they'll be able to see exactly how those funds will be outlined
Yeah.
in the different departments affected.
Good. All right, so it'll be question 1. Let's take a motion on that, I guess.
I move that the board vote to place the following question on the ballot for the annual town election for the town of Millis to be held on May 13th, 2024, option 1 as written in the packet.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to select option 1 for the ballot on May 13th. All in favor, poll, Aaron?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
And I'm a yes also. Passed unanimous. Okay, next up,
I move that the board vote to open the warrant of the annual town meeting of May 7th, 2024.
Second?
it's been moved and seconded to open the town meeting warrant. All in favor, Aaron?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
I'm a yes. Okay. We're open.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. You do have an updated warrant in your packet. You will notice that there were a few items at your last meeting where the dollar figures were not included. You'll see that they are included in all the articles now. We do have the numbers from the various departments and proponents. And also there's, you'll see that the numbers were included in Article 4, which we just discussed. You'll see a breakdown of the different departmental numbers related to the override. So that's how it would look in the warrant. So that matches
Yeah.
what we just reviewed as part of the overall budget. The only other item I wanted to touch upon for the warrant this evening is there's one additional article that I did place in the draft for consideration. That's Article 20. I did meet with the Veterans Services Officer, Major John Moore, last week. There is a new law on the books that allows towns to accept a section of state law to provide additional real estate tax exemptions for certain veterans and surviving spouses who meet specific criteria. If you look at the Article 20 in your packet, you'll see it's under Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5C and a half. This is a local acceptance provision, which will provide additional exemptions for personal and real estate property. When I first spoke with the Veteran Services Officer, he had received information that he thought that this was a reimbursable item from the state, and after further investigation and discussing with the finance director, we determined as of right now, it's not a reimbursable item from the state. So, and we've estimated the impact to the town to be about $30,000 per year for approval of this item, which is usually, affects the overlay account. The article before that, Article 19, the one that talks about increasing the senior tax work program from $1,500 a year to $2,000, that has an impact of about $10,000 per year on the overlay account. So in speaking with the finance director, it's certainly something that the town overlay could absorb. We do have to make adjustments to the overlays every so often anyway. But it's an item for your consideration from the Veteran Services Officer to include in the warrant. So I'll be happy to answer any questions in regards to that. And if I can't answer them, I'd certainly, try to get them answered by the VSO this evening.
I don't have any
I
questions.
have no questions. Ellen?
I have no question.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's an important piece. I think it's worth doing, and I fully support it. I just, no questions about it. You've
Yeah.
done a good job explaining it.
I think it, in discussing with Major Moore, it certainly recognizes the sacrifices of the veterans that live in the community and will provide some tax relief to many of them in their surviving spouses in the community. And again, it's an estimated impact of about $30,000 per year.
Great. And then just one other item, Article 13, we'll have the capital planning in to discuss that article with us on the 8th.
Right, that's just a draft of
Right.
all the items currently being reviewed by the capital committee. This isn't the recommendation of the capital committee per se, but this lists all the possible items that could come before you and are being graded by rated by the capital committee. And the chair of the capital planning committee will be coming before the board on April 8th to give the report of the committee and answer any questions that you may have. And at that time, if you'd like to make any adjustments to Article 13, you could do that at that time.
Right, we can add or delete or change any of those. Okay.
Do you want to vote to add the Article 20? That wasn't on there last time, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
just need a vote to add that if you're interested in adding Article 20 to the warrant.
Okay. I move that the board vote to add Article 20 to the annual town meeting warrant.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to add Article 20 to the town meeting warrant. Aaron,
Aye.
Ellen,
Aye.
I'm a yes. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Is that all we needed for
I
the?
think
Yep,
so.
That's all I
Okay.
have on the warrant.
I move that the board vote to close the warrant of the annual town meeting of May 7th, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the warrant. Aaron,
Aye.
Ellen,
Aye.
and I'm a yes. Okay. Oh, the personnel plan. This is exciting. Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, in your packet is an updated personnel plan for consideration by the board and hopefully ultimately by the annual town meeting. As part of the spring annual town meeting, certain changes are made to the personnel plan under Article 8 in order to update salary and stipend levels and other benefits. A copy of the proposal is in your packet. I'm recommending the following changes to the personnel plan for FY '25. A 2% salary stipend increase to all positions currently in the personnel plan, which matches the collective bargaining agreements currently in effect with, for FY '25 for all our collective bargaining units. A pay adjustment to the salary of part-time dispatchers in order to attract and retain quality employees. This has been a particular problem because our pay levels have been lower than area towns and we've been struggling to maintain part-time dispatchers. To remove the position of the sealer of weights and measures from the plan, since we now have a regional agreement with Medway and Medfield for a regional sealer of weights and measures who's an employee of the town of Medway. To add a project manager stipend of $1,000 per month for managing special projects within the community. We have projects such as the building of the PFAS plant and other items that would benefit from in-house management. We estimate on the PFAS project alone that by going this route, we'll save up to $400,000 over the course of the project. So it's something that I think is a huge benefit to the community. Another recommendation is to make a one-time 4% adjustment to the ZBA assistant stipend. That position was missed last year, so they never received the 2% increase that was awarded last year. To remove the 2 respite care positions that no longer exist. And have a one-time stipend adjustment to the finance committee assistant. So those are all the changes I'm recommending as part of the personnel plan. And I want to thank Karen and Victoria, as well as Lisa, the town accountant, and Carol for their work on helping put this all together. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board might have about the personnel plan proposal.
Any questions?
Nope.
Questions? Ellen, do you have any questions about that as well?
I do not.
All right. Don't want to skip you. All right. I'm good as well.
Just requesting that the board vote to recommend to the annual town meeting the changes in the personnel plan as I've presented.
I move that the board vote to recommend to the annual town meeting the changes to the personnel plan as recommended by the town administrator and as listed in the agenda packet.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. Ellen, you have to say, we have to do a roll call.
Roll
Say
call.
that again?
We got to do a roll call vote. So Ellen, yes.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yes.
Aaron, yes. Craig, yes. Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
Got sloppy there, my fault. All right. Next item up is the transfer of the common victual license.
Yes,
Millis
the
House of Pizza.
And I think, actually, Mohammed,
Yeah.
you want to come up for a minute? So Mohammed Alam,
Yes.
am I saying that properly, is the new owner of Millis House of Pizza.
Yep.
And they have applied to transfer the common victular license. And so you'll find the application in your packet, and you list the hours of operation. Are those the same hours?
The same hours.
Same
yeah,
exact
yeah,
hours,
yeah,
so
yeah.
pretty much
Everything be the same, yeah, yeah.
everything is staying the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
The only thing that is pending on our end at this point is the business license.
Oh, okay,
Once you have
right.
the official business license.
Okay, okay.
So
Yeah,
unless you have questions, we've kind of vetted it, and I would recommend approval of this common victular transfer, pending receipt of the final business license.
Perfect. Any questions, comments from the board? Any motions on that?
Yes.
I think we're going to have a motion in just a moment.
I move that the board vote to approve the transfer of the common victular license at Millis House of Pizza to Mohammed Alam, pending receipt of the business license.
Perfect.
Okay.
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Thank
to-
you.
Oh, we're not done yet.
Oh, no, okay, sorry.
Almost.
Aaron,
Aye.
Ellen, vote,
aye.
and I'm a yes. Now we're done.
Now
All right,
we-
Pass
great. Thank you so
unanimously.
much.
There
Thank
you go, thank you.
Congratulations.
And,
I will see you at some point soon, probably.
Everyone go try Millis House of Pizza.
Yes. All right.
Oh, that's me again.
Well, everything's changing.
I know. So this is,
Okay.
this is the approval of change of ownership interest for mobile. It's actually family-owned, and there was a change in the family with a loss of one of the family members, and so this has gotten changed over. You already approved this a few months ago, but when we sent it to the ABCC, and I should back up, this is a change of ownership interest for the ABCC, which is the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission.
Yes.
Apparently, we did not have the box checked off for change of ownership interest. We checked off all of the other boxes, change of manager, license, et cetera, so they sent it back. So you now need to just revote this one piece of it. And they did provide the one document that goes along with this piece. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
So you're voting to approve the change of ownership interest for GMI Gas, if you would, okay.
Okay. I move that the board vote to approve the change in ownership interest at Millis Mobile.
Second,
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the change in ownership. All in favor? Aaron,
Aye.
Ellen,
aye.
and I'm a yes as well.
And that is it? Thank
All
you.
right. All right, next up is approval of contract for Microsoft license.
Oh, you missed the COA
Oh,
vehicle.
I'm sorry. She's in the back. I feel horrible.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Coming down to the very bottom of the sheet, and I'm just moving on. All right.
Mr. Chairman, enclosed in the packet is the purchase and sales agreement for the purchase of a new vehicle for the Council on Aging. The funds for the purchase of the vehicle will be coming from a legislative earmark of $12,500 and from the Friends of the COA at $21,000. This vehicle is replacing a 2011 COA vehicle.
Okay.
I am requesting that the board approve the purchase and sales agreement and authorize me to sign the agreement on behalf of the board. The senior director is here this evening, if you have any questions for her in regards to the purchase, but this is something that's been in the works for a while.
Yeah.
This is one of the items, unfortunately, this was scheduled to be a $25,000 earmark, but due to the governor's 9C cuts, it was cut in half. But I believe in discussions with the Friends, they've agreed to pay the balance in order to get the vehicle
Good.
to better serve the seniors.
All right.
I move that the board vote to approve the purchase and sales agreement with McGovern MHQ for a 2024 Sonata hybrid vehicle for use by the COA with a not-to-exceed amount of $33,507.52, and to authorize the town administrator to sign on the board's behalf.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do you have anything you'd like to say, or should I just, okay, all in favor, Aaron?
Aye.
Ellen?
Aye.
And I'm a yes, passes unanimously. All right. I didn't think you had anything to say, but you've been sitting back there so patiently. All right. Now, the one I'm really excited about, the Microsoft licensing contract.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In your packet is a letter from the Director of IT for the town, James Donovan. He's requesting the board's authorization for the town administrator to sign a renewal contract with SHI International for Microsoft licensing in the amount not to exceed $27,500. It is imperative that we continue our Microsoft licensing to ensure the ongoing operation and efficiency of our town services. We did review various vendor proposals and have concluded that SHI International best meets the requirements for the town for the upcoming year. The proposal for the Microsoft licensing renewal aligns with our budgetary considerations and our past positive experiences with this service and support, which reinforces our decision to continue the partnership. The contract will ensure our compliance with Microsoft's licensing requirements, which is vital for our operational integrity and the seamless provision of services to the community. Therefore, respectfully request the Select Board's authorization for the town administrator to sign the Microsoft licensing renewal contract with SHI.
Okay.
I move that the board vote to approve the contract with SHI International for Microsoft licensing in the amount not to exceed $27,500 and to authorize the town administrator to sign the contract.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any questions or comments? Seeing, oh, there's one. Go ahead.
Lisa Harden, 56 Walnut Street. I'm just curious, why do we have to do this with SHI as opposed to just dealing with Microsoft? How's that work?
I will attempt to answer.
I might be
Mr.
able to
Chairman,
answer,
although
too.
I'm not
Yeah.
an absolute expert in this area.
Yeah.
But it's my understanding that generally, there are vendors that companies or towns or individuals work through and to get the licensing, instead of going directly through Microsoft. And I cannot begin to go into the specific reasons why. That's something I'd have to defer to the IT director, but I'd
Yeah.
defer to you. If you
I mean, when I was in Boston, I was buying 600 licenses at a pop, and all of them are bought through third-party vendors. There was no difference in cost. It's just the third-party vendor is a huge help in getting it done right, getting you the right licenses, getting you everything else. I'm sure they get a cut from Microsoft, but if I bought directly through Microsoft, I didn't get a better deal, so I took advantage of their authorized reseller to make my life better. Anytime I can, and also nonprofits pay 10 cents on the dollar. But the town's not one, so I was really taking advantage of these guys. All right. Yeah, Joyce? Yeah.
Make this old lady move. Is this a one-year contract,
I believe so.
or is it 3
Typically
years?
is. It's
Oh,
typically
okay,
annual.
just
Yeah.
making sure, because some
Yeah.
you can get for 3 years, and it's a
Yeah.
better price.
Yeah, this is annual because of the way our budgets work.
Okay.
Yeah, it's standard. You do get a discount when you go a full year versus month to month.
Right.
So, and this fits within the IT annual budget.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, did we vote that?
Nope.
All right, Aaron,
Aye.
Ellen, vote.
Aye.
All right, I was hoping you were a yes. And I'm a yes also.
Thank you.
We're out of here soon, Ellen.
I know it.
And then back to vacation. All right. All right.
Everyone's favorite part of the meeting.
Liaison updates.
I got nothing.
Do you have any liaison updates?
Yes, that's why I'm waiting till the end of the meeting.
Oh.
I beat both of you, probably.
All right, what do you got?
Highlight of my whole,
I knew it would be.
thing here. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, yeah, as you know, the, energy, we already did that. So, they're working toward that very, very vigorously, so that's fun. And then, I went to the, Charles River Pollution Control meeting. They meet once a month, as you know. And they came out with a report. They don't come out with it every month, but maybe every every 6 months, or maybe quarterly, and they showed all the towns and all the daily flows and all the capacity remaining, and they're in very, very good shape, both in terms of where we are right now without the, I think, 4 developments that are coming online, which we have already set aside capacity for. So both in terms of before and after, we're in very good shape, well below our capacity, and it's good, that's all.
All right. I went to the capital planning committee, and we'll save that big surprise for next week, no, or for April 8th. We did evaluate all of them. There's a few numbers that need to be worked. There's a couple in the highest recommended category, a couple in the medium, and a few in the lower. And we need to discuss those as a committee and see what we want to include and what we don't want to include. I also had a small group meeting with the MBTA, not the town committee, but just discussing with them about the MBTA housing. And we have a new plan, a plan that I think actually is quite good. They're redrafting. I think it's going to be much more acceptable for the November town meeting. It won't be at this town meeting, but it is much, much better than the first draft they produced. Both in number of homes allowable to be built and locations where they can be built. I think it's gonna be a very good plan. So we'll see what they get back. It's going to the planning board, then to us eventually, but we'll see it for November.
I'd like to just make one comment on that, Craig. I think it's a very good idea that, that you guys push that to November. Because there's so much happening with
Yeah.
the lawsuit and with these other towns. There's a lot of noise out there, and
Yeah.
I don't know if we should be so quick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If we could do it within the time that they give us, I don't think we have to be first all the time.
Right. Yeah, and the deadline for our community, adjacent communities, is December 31st. So we were hoping to have a second bite at the apple if it didn't pass, to clean it up, so we just cleaned it up to where this is the best it can be when it comes out. So this is it. This will be the November town meeting. We'll see how it looks. Again, the numbers are good, the locations are good, but I'll let the formal proposal be written and finished before we share all of that. That was a draft from a small working group. Okay? All right. All right, a minute.
I move that the board vote to approve the minutes of March 11th, 2024 as written.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as written. All in favor? I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aaron, Ellen,
Yeah,
and me.
aye.
Aye, yeah, okay. Thank you. Anything else for the group?
And Mr. Chairman, there's no
Yes.
need to go in executive session this evening, so I recommend that we forego going into executive session.
Okay.
Perfect.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor? Ellen? Ellen?
Aye.
Aaron?
Aye.
I'm a yes also. Well, I was just calling for the vote like usual. Okay, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Okay.
Have fun, Ellen.
Thanks, Ellen.
See ya.
Good night.
All right, thank you, guys.
All right.